Self-Mastery Through Conscious Autosuggestion. By Emile Coué. 1922. This audiobook is brought to you by the Project Wisdom.
Thoughts and Precepts of Emile Coué. Taken down literally by Madame Emile Leon, his disciple. Do not spend your time in thinking of illness you might have, for if you have no real ones you will create artificial ones. When you make conscious autosuggestions, do it naturally, simply, with conviction, and above all without any effort. If unconscious and bad autosuggestions are so often realized, it is because they are made without effort. Be sure that you will obtain what you want, and you will obtain it, so long as it is within reason. To become master of oneself, it is enough to think that one is becoming so. Your hands tremble, your steps falter, tell yourself that all that is going to cease, and little by little it will disappear. It is not in me but in yourself that you must have confidence, for it is in yourself alone that dwells the force which can cure you. My part simply consists in teaching you to make use of that force. Never discuss things you know nothing about, or you will only make yourself ridiculous. Things which seem miraculous to you have a perfectly natural cause. If they seem extraordinary, it is only because the cause escapes you. When you know that, you realize that nothing could be more natural. When the will and the imagination are in conflict, it is always the imagination which wins. Such a case is only too frequent, and then not only do we not do what we want, but just the contrary of what we want. For example, the more we try to go to sleep, the more we try to remember the name of someone, the more we try to stop laughing, the more we try to avoid an obstacle, while thinking that we cannot do so, the more excited we become, the less we can remember the name, the more uncontrollable our laughter becomes, and the more surely we rush upon the obstacle. It is then the imagination and not the will which is the most important faculty of man, and thus it is a serious mistake to advise people to train their wills. It is the training of their imaginations which they ought to set about. Things are not for us what they are, but what they seem. This explains the contradictory evidence of persons speaking in all good faith. By believing oneself to be the master of one's thoughts, one becomes so. Every one of our thoughts, good or bad, becomes concrete, materializes, and becomes in short a reality. We are what we make ourselves and not what circumstances make us. Whoever starts off in life with the idea, "I shall succeed," always does succeed because he does what is necessary to bring about this result. If only one opportunity presents itself to him, and if this opportunity has, as it were, only one hair on its head, he seizes it by that one hair. Further, he often brings about unconsciously or not, propitious circumstances. He who on the contrary always doubts himself, never succeeds in doing anything. He might find himself in the midst of an army of opportunities with heads of hair like Absalom, and yet he would not see them and could not seize a single one, even if he had only to stretch out his hand in order to do so. And if he brings about circumstances, they are generally unfavorable ones. Do not then blame fate, you have only yourself to blame. People are always preaching the doctrine of effort, but this idea must be repudiated. Effort means will, and will means the possible entrance of the imagination in opposition, and the bringing about of the exactly contrary result to the desired one. Always think that what you have to do is easy, if possible. In this state of mind you will not spend more of your strength than just what is necessary. If you consider it difficult, you will spend 10, 20 times more strength than you need. In other words, you will waste it. Autosuggestion is an instrument which you have to learn how to use just as you would for any other instrument. An excellent gun in inexperienced hands only gives wretched results, but the more skilled the same hands become, the more easily they place the bullets in the target. Conscious autosuggestion, made with confidence, with faith, with perseverance, realizes itself mathematically, within reason. When certain people do not obtain satisfactory results with autosuggestion, it is either because they lack confidence, or because they make efforts, which is the more frequent case. To make good suggestions, it is absolutely necessary to do it without effort. The latter implies the use of the will, which must be entirely put aside. One must have recourse exclusively to the imagination. Many people who have taken care of their health all their life in vain, imagine that they can be immediately cured by autosuggestion. It is a mistake, for it is not reasonable to think so. It is no use expecting from suggestion more than it can normally produce, that is to say, a progressive improvement which little by little transforms itself into a complete cure, when that is possible. The means employed by the healers all go back to autosuggestion, that is to say that these methods, whatever they are, words, incantations, gestures, staging, all produce in the patient the autosuggestion of recovery. Every illness has two aspects unless it is exclusively a mental one. Indeed, on every physical illness a mental one comes and attaches itself. If we give to the physical illness the coefficient 1, the mental illness may have the coefficient 1, 2, 10, 20, 50, 100, and more. In many cases this can disappear instantaneously, and if its coefficient is a very high 1, 100 for instance, while that of the physical ailment is 1, only this latter is left, a 101st of the total illness. Such a thing is called a miracle, and yet there is nothing miraculous about it. Contrary to common opinion, physical diseases are generally far more easily cured than mental ones. Buffon used to say, "Style is the man." We would put in that, man is what he thinks. The fear of failure is almost certain to cause failure, in the same way as the idea of success brings success, and enables one always to surmount the obstacles that may be met with. Conviction is as necessary to the suggester as to his subject. It is this conviction, this faith, which enables him to obtain results where all other means have failed. It is not the person who acts, it is the method. Contrary to general opinion, suggestion, or autosuggestion can bring about the cure of organic lesions. Formerly it was believed that hypnotism could only be applied to the treatment of nervous illnesses. Its domain is far greater than that. It is true that hypnotism acts through the intermediary of the nervous system, but the nervous system dominates the whole organism. The muscles are set in movement by the nerves regulate the circulation by their direct action on the heart, and by their action on the blood vessels which they dilate or contract. The nerves act then on all the organs, and by their intermediation all the unhealthy organs may be affected. Dr. Paul Joyer, president of the Société Universelle d'études psychiques, Bull. No. 4 of the SLP. Moral influence has a considerable value as a help in healing. It is a factor of the first order which it would be very wrong to neglect, since in medicine as in every branch of human activity, it is the spiritual forces which lead the world. Dr. Louis Renan, lecturing professor at the Faculty of Medicine of Paris, and doctor at the Necker Hospital. Never lose sight of the great principle of autosuggestion, optimism always and in spite of everything, even when events do not seem to justify it. Renata Drabos, Bull. 11 of the SLPA. Suggestion sustained by faith is a formidable force. Dr. A. L., Paris, July, 1920. To have and to inspire unalterable confidence, one must walk with the assurance of perfect sincerity, and in order to possess this assurance and sincerity, one must wish for the good of others more than one's own. Culture de la force morale, by C. Baudouin.